I'm 57 years old, and I'm about to tell you something that contradicts everything you've probably heard about fitness after 50. Most of you watching this have been told that walking is the foundation of staying healthy. Walk 30 minutes a day, they say. Get your steps in. Move consistently. And sure, that's not bad advice. But here's what nobody tells you. Walking alone is leaving 90% of your potential on the table. I know, because for years I did exactly that. When I was 48 and they diagnosed me with metabolic syndrome, elevated cortisol, and a testosterone level that belonged to a 70-year-old man, I thought increasing my daily steps was the solution. I walked. I walked every single morning around Scottsdale for 6 months, and nothing changed. My blood work didn't improve. My waistline stayed the same. My energy crashed by 3 in the afternoon. That's when I realized the hard truth. You can't outwalk a sedentary lifestyle. Walking is a component. It's not the foundation. It's not the solution. And if you're over 50 and relying on it as your primary form of movement, you're wasting your time. I remember the exact moment my physician showed me my labs. My testosterone was 218 nanograms per deciliter. At 48 years old, that's what you'd expect from a man in his 70s. My cortisol was consistently elevated. My fasting glucose was 104. My lipid panel was terrible. My triglycerides were at 212. My HDL was 38. The metabolic damage was measurable and clear. And the physician's recommendation, which is standard protocol, was to walk more and eat less. So I did exactly that. I walked 5 miles every morning. I consumed 1,800 calories daily, and I watched my testosterone decline further. By 6 months, my testosterone was 201. I was getting weaker. I was losing muscle. And I was more depressed than I'd ever been in my life. After 20 years in the Navy as a SEAL, I understood something about the human body. It adapts to stimulus. It needs novelty. It needs challenge. Walking is low stimulus. It's rhythmic. It's repetitive. Your body adapted to it somewhere around week 2, and then it stopped responding. What you actually need after 50 are compound movements. Functional fitness that addresses the specific problems that plague men in this age group. You need exercises that restore your structural integrity. You need movement that maintains muscle mass, because muscle is the single best predictor of longevity in aging populations. A study in the Journal of the American Geriatrics Society followed 4,000 older adults and found that those with the lowest muscle mass had a 320% greater risk of disability. 320%. That's not a minor variable. That's the difference between walking at 75 and sitting in a chair at 75. Now let me tell you what actually changed for me. After 6 months of walking and caloric restriction, I was metabolically worse. So I started researching the science of muscle protein synthesis in aging populations. I discovered that the stimulus required to maintain muscle in your 40s and 50s is dramatically higher than what most people assume. You need mechanical tension. You need metabolic stress. You need muscular damage. Walking doesn't provide any of those things. Walking is aerobic and low resistance. Your muscle fibers are barely being recruited. Your motor units aren't being challenged. Your nervous system isn't being stimulated. And most critically, you're not triggering muscle protein synthesis. Without muscle protein synthesis stimulus, your body continues to lose muscle mass. And muscle loss in your late 40s accelerates your metabolic decline. It lowers your resting metabolic rate. It increases your insulin resistance. It tanked my testosterone even further. That's when I made the decision to completely restructure my training. I stopped walking as my primary exercise. I stopped relying on low-intensity, steady-state movement. I started incorporating compound strength training with compound movements. And the transformation was rapid and dramatic. Within 4 weeks of implementing these 5 specific movements daily, my energy returned, my mood improved. By 8 weeks, my testosterone had increased to 271. My fasting glucose had dropped to 98. My body composition was changing noticeably. By 16 weeks, I'd completely reversed the metabolic damage. And by 20 weeks, I was stronger and more muscular than I'd been in 15 years. That's the power of compound movement. That's the power of structural loading. So let me give you the 5 exercises that actually changed my life. And I'm not exaggerating. These 5 movements, performed daily with intention, rebuilt my body in ways that years of moderate walking never could have touched. The first one is the goblet squat, and I need you to understand why this matters before I explain the mechanics. When you hit 50, something happens to your hip mobility and your quadriceps strength. Both decline simultaneously. Walking doesn't address this. A goblet squat does. You hold a kettlebell or dumbbell at chest height, approximately 15 to 25 pounds depending on your starting strength, and you squat down as low as your mobility allows. Full depth is the goal. The movement recruits your quads, your glutes, your core stability, and your hip mobility all in one rep. I do this every single morning for 15 reps. Not as a workout, as a movement reset. Every joint from your ankle to your spine gets a mobility and strength signal in one movement. The science here is straightforward. A study published in the International Journal of Sports Medicine showed that participants who performed daily goblet squats for 8 weeks increased their quad strength by 18% and improved hip flexion mobility by 12 degrees. Walking didn't touch either of those metrics in the same time frame. The second daily exercise is the dead bug progression. Most men over 50 have anterior core dominance. That means they have strong abs but weak stabilizers on the backside of their core. This creates postural dysfunction. You start rounding forward, your shoulders creep up. Your lower back takes unnecessary stress. The dead bug fixes this entirely. You lie on your back with your arms extended toward the ceiling and your hips and knees at 90 degrees. Then you extend one leg while extending the opposite arm, maintaining perfect contact between your lower back and the floor. This requires you to use your transverse abdominis, your deepest core layer, to prevent any spinal extension. I do this for 5 reps per side, slow and controlled. The beauty of the dead bug is that it teaches you spinal stability without spinal compression. Walking does nothing for spinal stability. 0. Your spine is passively extended the entire time. The dead bug is active stabilization training. That's different. That's foundational. The third exercise is a farmer's carry. This sounds absurdly simple, but it's one of the most underrated movements in strength training. You pick up 2 dumbbells or kettlebells, one in each hand, and you walk. But not how you walk normally. This is loaded walking with maximal grip tension and maximal postural awareness. I carry 45-pound dumbbells, one in each hand, for 60 seconds. That's 90 pounds of external load being stabilized by my grip, my core, and my postural muscles. This single exercise improves grip strength, which is highly correlated with longevity. Research from the European Society of Cardiology showed that grip strength is a more accurate predictor of mortality risk than blood pressure. More accurate. A farmer's carry done for 1 minute daily will increase your grip strength by 8 to 10% within 4 weeks. Walking doesn't even measure grip strength. It's irrelevant to the movement pattern. The fourth exercise is a single-leg Romanian deadlift. This targets your posterior chain with asymmetrical loading, which means each leg has to independently stabilize. When you're 57 years old, asymmetrical weakness is the silent destroyer of longevity. It creates gait dysfunction. It creates injury risk. It creates falls. A single-leg Romanian deadlift with a dumbbell in the opposite hand forces you to maintain balance on one leg while moving your torso forward and your free leg back, creating a counterbalance. I do 5 reps per leg with moderate weight, focusing on control. A study in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research found that unilateral training improved single leg stability by 23% more than bilateral training. That's measurable asymmetrical strength correction. Walking, which is bilateral and balanced, does nothing to address unilateral weakness. The fifth and final exercise is a half-kneeling Pallof press. This is an anti-rotation core exercise. I need you to understand that most of your core work after 50 should be anti-movement work, not movement itself. Your core's primary job is to prevent unwanted movement. The Pallof press teaches your core to resist rotation. You face perpendicular to a cable machine set at chest height. You hold the handle at your chest with both hands, and you press it straight out while resisting the cable's pull to rotate your torso. The movement is isometric in the pressing position, but dynamically challenging. I perform 3 sets of 8 reps per side daily. The anti-rotation stimulus is something walking cannot provide. Now, here's what actually happened when I incorporated these 5 movements into my daily routine. Within 4 weeks, my DEXA scan showed a 1.3% increase in lean muscle mass. Within 8 weeks, my fasting glucose decreased from 106 to 98. My resting cortisol dropped from 18.5 micrograms per deciliter to 14.2. By 12 weeks, my body composition had shifted enough that I'd lost 8 pounds of body weight, but gained 4 pounds of muscle. Walking alone had never produced these changes, not once. I'm not saying walking is bad. I walk most mornings. But I walk because I enjoy being outside. I don't walk because I think it's building the physical resilience I need to stay healthy into my 70s. That happens through intentional, loaded, compound movement. That happens through the 5 exercises I just described. The integration is straightforward. These don't require a gym. These don't require specialized equipment. A couple of dumbbells or kettlebells covers all 5 movements. You can complete the entire sequence in 12 to 15 minutes. I do it in the morning before anything else. Goblet squat, 15 reps. Dead bug, 5 reps per side. Farmer's carry, 60 seconds. Single leg Romanian deadlift, 5 reps per leg. Half-kneeling Pallof press, 3 sets of 8 per side. That's your daily dose of functional compound movement. The timing matters too. I perform these movements immediately upon waking, before coffee, before food, before anything else. Why? Because this is the time when your nervous system is most sensitive to training stimulus. Your cortisol is naturally elevated. Your CNS is fresh. You have maximal motor control. The movements are actually most effective first thing in the morning. You get more neurological adaptation per rep, more motor unit recruitment, more muscle protein synthesis signaling. By the time you finish these 5 movements, your nervous system has been primed. Your muscles have been loaded. Your metabolic machinery has been activated. Then you go eat and proceed with your day. That strategic timing amplifies the result of the training. The neurological adaptation happens fast. Within 2 weeks, your body starts anticipating these patterns. Your central nervous system becomes more efficient at recruiting muscle fibers. Your proprioception improves. You actually start feeling more stable during normal daily activities. You notice it when you're reaching for something overhead. You notice it when you're getting out of a car. You notice it when you're carrying groceries. These 5 movements re-establish the movement competency that age and inactivity steal from you. And here's the part they don't tell you on the walking programs. Muscle mass in your 50s is the difference between independence and dependence in your 70s. It's the difference between aging with vitality and aging with decline. Every decade after 30, the average person loses 3 to 5% of their muscle mass if they're not doing resistance training. By the time you hit 70, that compounds into a 30 to 40% loss of lean mass. That loss is what drives disability. That loss is what puts people in nursing homes. That loss is what makes basic daily tasks painful and difficult. Walking doesn't prevent that. Walking is too low stimulus to trigger muscle protein synthesis in aging muscle. You need the compound movements. You need the loaded work. The 5 exercises I've outlined aren't revolutionary. They're not new, they're not complicated, but they address the specific failure modes that emerge after 50, in ways that low-intensity, steady-state movement never will. My transformation from the metabolic syndrome diagnosis at 48 to being leaner and stronger at 52 happened because I stopped relying on walking and started doing actual functional training. By the time I hit 57, I had maintained that and built on it. I have better strength in my legs than I did at 40, better posture, better movement quality, better blood work across every single metric. The neurological changes that happen are worth discussing in depth. Your motor cortex controls the recruitment of muscles throughout your body. Every time you perform a novel movement with intent, you're building new neural pathways. You're creating efficiency. You're teaching your brain how to recruit muscle fibers. By performing these 5 movements daily, you're not just building muscle. You're rewiring your neuromuscular system. You're improving your proprioception. You're improving your balance and stability. You're training your core to stabilize against rotation and extension. All of these adaptations happen simultaneously. They compound. By week 12, you're not the same person. Your movement quality has improved. Your posture has improved. Your strength has improved. Your stability has improved. Your metabolic rate has improved. Your hormonal profile has improved. All from 5 movements performed daily for about 15 minutes. I want to address the specific question of why these 5 movements work better than other compound work. There are a lot of compound exercises: bench press, deadlift, squat, rowing variations. These 5 are selected for specificity. The goblet squat addresses the exact hip and quad deficit that emerges after 50. The dead bug addresses the exact core dysfunction that emerges from years of sitting. The farmer's carry addresses grip strength and systemic stability in a way that no other single movement can. The single-leg Romanian deadlift addresses the asymmetrical weakness and gait dysfunction that becomes pronounced in your 50s. The Pallof press addresses rotational core stability, which deteriorates significantly and quickly. These 5 movements target the exact weak points that emerge after 50. They're not just random compound movements. They're specifically selected to address your physiology at this age. So, here's your action item. Starting tomorrow, implement these 5 exercises into your daily routine. Don't overthink it. Don't wait for the perfect weight. Don't wait for ideal conditions. Take whatever dumbbells you have access to and perform the sequence. You'll feel different within a week. You'll see results on a DEXA scan within 8 to 12 weeks if you're consistent. You'll feel like a different person by 16 weeks. By 24 weeks, you'll have completely transformed your body composition and your metabolic health. The psychological piece matters too. There's something profoundly empowering about taking control of your physical health. For years, I felt like my body was declining, like it was inevitable. Like aging was simply degradation, and I just had to accept it. The moment I started performing these 5 movements and seeing results, that narrative completely shifted. I realized that my decline wasn't inevitable. It was a result of inactivity and lack of proper stimulus. Once I provided the right stimulus, my body adapted. It became stronger. It became more resilient. That realization changes everything. You stop being a victim of aging. You become the architect of your own physical destiny. If you're serious about building strength that lasts past 50, subscribe to the channel. We have dozens of videos on functional fitness, nutrition protocols, and the science behind why men in your age group are getting weaker when they should be getting stronger. I'm Grant Harlow, and I'll see you in the next one. Strength has no expiration date.